And we are live again, once again. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Snug Wrestling with me, your host. My name is Edgar. You can see that on the screen, like always, Edgar. And I have a special guest with me today. His name is Buff Bagwell. What's going on? Well, I'm just kidding. It's not really Buff Bagwell. It is actually another really well known guy from the IWC. We have Taylor from the Jaded Wrestling. What's going on, dude? Thank you for being with
Thank
us.
you. Thank you for having me, Edgar. I appreciate you. Hey dude, let's talk some fucking wrestling, yo.
Yeah, dude, I had to bring you on, dude, because your shit that you do on TikTok, and I only know you from TikTok. I want to get into like the other stuff that you do, but I'm like, dude, your stuff is hella funny. So I'm like, I gotta have this dude on. And I only bring on the people on my shows that entertain me, that I like. If I like your videos, I want to have you on and get to know you and talk to the person behind the content. So yeah, man, we're gonna talk some wrestling today. But first, yeah, introduce yourself to the people. Tell them what you're all about.
Okay, I'm Taylor. I'm from Jaded Wrestling, obviously. We have a YouTube, Jaded Wrestling, but we have a second YouTube where I'm doing shorts and all kinds of little weird shit, Jaded Wrestling TV. But honestly, like I really love all types of wrestling. Big AEW guy, big Dalton Castle guy, big Bailey guy. So yeah, those are my three. If we're wondering who my wrestlers are, those are my wrestling sports teams, if you will.
So how did you like land on that name, like Jaded? Like that's like a really common word that I hear a lot, and then I was like, wait, what does that mean? I had to look it up. And I thought it was really funny that you call your what is it, your brand Jaded. So how did that even become a thing?
So it's kind of a weird story. So I moved to Florida a few years ago, and I saw my neighbor outside, and I was wearing an NWO shirt, and he was like, "Hey, you watch wrestling?" And I was like, "Yeah, I watch wrestling." And this is probably like 5 years ago. And he was like, "Do you want to like come over and talk about wrestling and just chill?" And I was like, "Yeah, dude," because we both had like kids and wives at the house and like really nothing to do. So we spent like the next year just going outside on the porch and just talking about wrestling, and me getting fully back into it because I was kind of out, to be honest. Like I was a big Attitude Era guy. And then I
Mhm.
took a long break because I had other things going on, whether that be metal music or any of this other stuff I was doing. So when I got back into it, it was like, dude, I've missed a lot. Let's go ahead and start to soak it all in. So the podcast
Yeah.
began basically with me rewatching a lot of stuff that I hadn't seen because I'd missed 8 years
You
of
had to
wrestling.
catch up. You had to
Right,
catch up. Yeah.
exactly. So, and I'd always loved ECW and Attitude Era stuff, and even like '80s wrestling. Like I've always been a fan of the sport, but I'd kind of shut myself off from it for some reason. So when he was like, "Hey, you want to do this?" and I was like, "I mean, we could definitely do a podcast," and I mean, we're still doing it. So, I mean, we're looking at 4 years later. But with TikTok, it seems like it's a little bit different of an animal. Like I've kind of learned what works and what doesn't work. But to be honest, I'm just doing what I want on there now. And that's what's been the most comfortable thing is I can just be me and I don't have to worry about, I wonder if somebody's going to like this video. I better do another Hulk Hogan video because I got to get some views. Now I don't want to do that anymore. So
Yeah.
the last like year, it's just been me just doing stuff that I want to do.
Yeah. So how long when did you guys first start doing the podcast? Has it been a while since you guys started?
So we've been doing it. I'm thinking it's probably, we're coming up on our 4 year.
Oh
Um,
shit.
we're now officially like at a place where we kind of release when we want to release though. Like I think a lot of people are really into like set days and when they release, and it became a thing where it was kind of like uh a job almost, and I didn't want it to be a job because I want to enjoy this, and I
Yeah.
have a side job already. So it's like I wanted to really be able to watch wrestling and have fun watching wrestling, so we kind of shortened it, and now we're basically just doing stuff on YouTube and TikTok because I mean, I'm obviously still releasing podcasts, but it's when I feel like I have something to say because it became a thing where it's like, oh, every week we got to do a podcast. We got to do a podcast. And then it was like,
Yeah,
I don't
dude.
have anything to say after 4 years, to be honest.
Damn. Yeah, you guys are damn near veterans now in the podcast game. Yeah,
Long ass time.
yeah. It's one of those things too. like you said, you have to go back and like catch up on a bunch of stuff that you didn't miss. And that's, I think for every wrestling fan, no matter how much you love wrestling, like there's always a period or a time where you kind of like go away from it and like you come back, but then you're kind of like back and forth. And that happened to me too, like back in I want to say like 2009 to like 2012 that I stopped watching, well, mostly WWE. I was mostly WWE guy, and that was a good time to be out of the game because I think that was a rough time in WWE. But now I try to stay on top of watching everything, but it's hard. I mostly only have time for AEW and WWE, but it sounds like, I mean, just now we were talking off air a little bit, and you were like, "Oh, I'm watching Ring of Honor right now," and I'm like, "Wait, what? What the fuck?"
I'm trying to soak it all in, dude. When I got the time, I'm trying to watch it. So like I also got into like that little Impact channel a little bit too, where they just show the classic matches. So if it's on, I'm usually gonna watch it. And like I've
See,
gotten a
like,
lot out of
yeah,
different stuff that way, you know.
yeah, but see, like, what even is that? Like, I don't even know how to get half of these fucking things.
Okay.
Like,
So,
you
do you
know,
have you got a Fire Stick or Roku? Anything you got?
yeah,
There's like free channels on there. That's like a list of all these long free channels. It's like music and all kinds of junk that you don't want, and like Cops 24/7 if you really really love the show Cops. But
yeah,
there's
yeah.
also an Impact TV channel. And on that channel, they just show you classic Impact matches. Like it'll be like
Oh
Kurt
fuck,
Angle versus Mr. Kennedy. And it's like,
yeah,
dude, this is the best. Like, this is exactly what I wanted. So a few years ago, my wife's grandpa moved in with us for a while, and I got him back into wrestling. And the way I did it was by showing him Impact because I couldn't get him on to WWE. And for
yep,
some reason, he didn't like AEW. And I was like, I got to get this man into wrestling so we can get something to do together. Man,
yeah,
he loved Impact. He loved Tommy Dreamer.
yeah,
He
dude.
got into a bunch of stuff, and it's like, dude, everybody likes a different kind of pizza, and I think that's what's interesting about wrestling is it's like I really love AEW and WWE alike, but there's so many little different things that like if you don't like that, you have this over here to watch, whether it's GCW or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean, dude. It's like kind of like one of those like hidden gems type thing because growing up, it was all about WWF and the WWE. And even if it wasn't for AEW, like I wouldn't be watching anything else. But as I started watching AEW really opened up my wrestling mind into looking into other promotions, like even AAA. Like I'm Hispanic, and my family grew up in Mexico watching AAA and stuff. But even then, I didn't really buy the pay-per-views or like watch it until
There's
I
some
started.
secrets. There's some
Yeah,
secrets in that as well, in like Lucha Underground and AAA, that you would find some matches that would blow your mind,
it
dude. Like I caught like
exactly. Yeah,
Ricochet when he was King Puma versus like Johnny Wrestling, which is Johnny TV, Johnny Morrison. And it's
yeah.
like, dude, what a like they put on one of the best matches I've ever seen. And it was like, dude, this is incredible. And I would have never found this without happenstance. And it's that kind of stuff all the time is like I don't understand. That's one of the things about tribalism I don't understand because I'm able to watch both shows, but it's like, dude, you're not watching this and you're missing out on this just because you don't like this. And it's like, I understand like there's all this different stuff, whether it be AEW or WWE, but a lot of the stuff is still like, man, that's good wrestling. Like a lot of people that watch
Hmm.
WWE, I can't see why they wouldn't like someone like FTR because they
Hmm.
make sense so much in like a wrestling fan's mind, in my opinion. So
Yeah.
I find all of this so interesting and like I don't
And
know.
one
This
and yeah, and one of those things that I was like realizing just thinking about all the names that used to be in Impact, like starting from even management, like you had Eric Bischoff at one point and Vince Russo and Cornette and the wrestlers that were there too. It's just like, dude, how did that not take off? Like that's so crazy to me. Like that is some crazy shit. So I found myself at one point spending a lot of time on Peacock, like going through like old like territory clips and shit.
I've done that
And
too.
yeah, and I want to start doing that for Impact, dude, because that shit just, and I never got into it. but it sounds so fucking crazy.
Let me tell you that that's the best era of Samoa Joe. First of all, I'll say that's the best Samoa Joe's ever been, but that's also the best that Scott Steiner's ever been. He is so
No
funny
way,
throughout all
dude.
of those. Like maybe not technically wrestling, but he is the funniest guy I have ever heard on a microphone in my life. And it's specifically when him and Bully Ray just end up in a room together and they're just counteracting each other. It's perfect comedic timing. And like, I don't think that he even means to do it, which maybe is why it's so good. But it feels like it's just like, did you know you're the funniest guy that's ever been in wrestling?
Yeah, dude. I have okay, so crazy story. Now that you're talking about Scott Steiner, I forgot that he was in TNA. Bully Ray too. Just talk about the fucking names that are there. But growing up as a kid, I was a big wrestling fan. My dad used to work at a restaurant, and he was like, "Oh, I saw this big ass buff dude eating at at one of our tables, and I just assumed he was a wrestler, and I asked him for an autograph. And here, and I'm looking at it, and it's like Scott Steiner, Big Papa Pump, and I'm like, oh, what
Bro.
the fuck?
Bro, so
Like,
I have this reoccurring thing I do when I meet wrestlers because I'm in Florida. When I live there, they're everywhere. So
yeah.
I can't help myself. And it's not even like I want to know. It's just like at this point, I want the reaction for asking the question. So when I meet a wrestler or somebody meets a wrestler, they'll be like, yo, I met Randy Orton. Like my friend was like, yo, I wait tables and Randy Orton was there. And I was like, what do he smell like? And he's like, what? I always do it to people. I'll be like, what do he smell like? And he's like, I didn't smell him. And I'm like, but why?
I just want to know, bro.
It's
He
not a
looks like
weird question. Like he looks like he smells like lilacs, but I don't know what Randy Orton
he
smells like.
just
I can't sit
looks
here and be like,
just looks like he smells like really nice cologne, bro. Like, what's wrong with that? No, yeah, I've met a few that I was surprised by a lot. That I was like, man, this guy, because maybe they just play such good heels on TV or something that I'm like, man, this guy's gonna be a total dick, man. But they end up being really nice, actually.
tell the
Uh,
story.
Sammy Guevara, Sammy Guevara, and fuck, I can never get her name right. Tay or Ty Conti.
That's dope. What were they were nice?
Dude, they were so fucking nice, dude. I took my wife and my daughter with me, and Tay was like hugging my daughter and like taking pictures of her, and Sammy was just like so chill, dude. But I'm like, man,
You're lucky, dude. I always
yeah.
get the bad interactions with wrestlers. It never goes
Oh
well for me. It never
no.
goes well. I don't know why, dude. It just never goes well, dude.
Can you
Yes.
remember one?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. So I I met Jimmy Hart twice while I lived in Florida. The first time I
Oh,
was too
okay.
nervous to talk to him. You know who Jimmy Hart is, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, all right. So he's got this accustomed voice and this hair that only he has. So he's not a person that you when you see him you're like, "Oh, it's somebody else." Like it's Jimmy Hart. So the first time I saw him was at a Publix, which is like a grocery store. And he is like has a
Oh.
WWE shirt with like a sport jacket over the top of the WWE shirt. And it's like 8 in the morning and it's like, dude, you don't really
Wait,
want to
wait,
mess
what
with
year was this? What year
like
was this?
2 years ago. It's probably like 2 years ago.
Oh,
So
okay.
it wasn't very long. So he's kind of old and he's retired. And like it's a weird thing to walk up to someone in a grocery store and be like, hey, how are you? So I didn't say anything to him the first
Yeah.
time. And my friends ridiculed me. They were like, dude, you're a pansy. Like you didn't say anything to Jimmy Hart. Like that's the mouth of the South. He's a legend. You didn't say a word. So I met him, I
Yeah.
saw him again, and this time it was at a CVS and it was like 7:30 in the morning again. I don't know why it's always the morning. But I saw him at 7:30, and this time I was like, dude, I'm not doing this again. I'm not going to get punked on again. I'm going to talk to him this time. So I walked up to
Oh
him and
shit.
I go, you're a legend, Jimmy. And I gave him like finger guns, which is terrible. I mean, that's not what you want to do. So I go, you're a legend, Jimmy. I don't know what to say. And he goes, oh,
Yeah.
thank you, man. And then he starts
Yeah.
talking about this guy that's walking down the street with a knife. He's like, there's a guy in the road over there with a knife walking down the road. And I go,
What the
what?
fuck?
And I start like, I'm like kind of like baked. So I start like giggling a little bit because it's like, I don't know what to say. This is Jimmy Hart. And this is just such a surreal experience. So I'm like, because that's a hilarious thing to hear him say. And he's like, well, I don't know why you think it's funny that there's a guy walking down the street with a knife. And I'm like, oh God, here we go.
Oh.
I'm like, I don't think it's funny. And then the lady behind the counter is like, well, I saw you laughing. And they're like, at this point, it feels like an interrogation. And I'm like, I
Oh,
gotta go.
that's a weird. Maybe he was just like stalking you, man, following you around like all the stores and shit. Like, let me see let me see what he's buying. Let me see what he's up to.
Well, he looked like he just got out of bed the second time, so I'm assuming that he was in there getting like milk or something. I wasn't vigilant enough to look at his bag or give him a sniff, for that matter.
You also you don't want to be that guy that like waits for people at the airport either, or give him that vibe like,
Weird.
I just came to the store because I knew you were going to be here type thing. Like, it's different if you go to like a meet and greet. Like, they kind of expect to interact with people because that's what they're there for. That's what they're getting paid for. But yeah, if you
It
just
feels,
run into people, yeah, it's different.
and it always feels like it. You can tell, like with certain clips, whether a person is a good person or a bad person just by how the wrestler reacts. Like if it's John Cena, he will tell you immediately whether they're a good person or a bad person because he'll shut them off if they're annoying. Whereas if it's a
Yeah.
normal person, he'll definitely take a picture with them and like talk to them and do whatever they want. But it's always the people that are like filming him ahead of time that he's like, dude,
Oh yeah. See,
like,
there's a science to it, dude. Like, you have to like read the room and like study the situation. Like, it's crazy, isn't it?
I'm so
Like,
strange though, dude. Like I was at an MLW show the other day, and they're like, it was like Matt Riddle was like walking around and Top Dollar and all these guys that are pretty well stars. And I don't want to be weird and like be a odd wrestling fan
no,
that's like, hi
yeah,
Matt
yeah, for
Riddle, what's
sure.
going on, bro? You know what I mean? I don't want to do that. It's weird. And like,
It
so I'm
is.
there to watch wrestling, and I did watch him wrestle a match, but it's like it's strange. Like if you I don't know. Like I got a picture with Bill Alfonso, but it's because he was like, "Hey, you want a picture?" And then it's not awkward anymore. Like I'm not gonna ask anyone for a picture at this point. I'm a
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. It's
32-year-old man.
yeah, it's fucking hard, dude, to be like, okay, there's no way for us as fans to know what type of mood they're in, to just be like, okay, maybe they'll say yes, maybe I don't know. And one of the ones that I still to this day, it still hurts me, was Mick Foley, dude. They
No,
say
what?
they say never meet your heroes, dude.
No
They say
way. I don't
yeah,
believe you. Tell the story. I don't
dude.
believe you. I don't believe you.
Okay. All right. So I went to this meet and greet here in my hometown, and Mick Foley was there. And we waited for a long time. And I've done this before where I met wrestlers like Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle, he did the intro for my podcast, and I just asked him for it, and he was like hella cool about it. Yeah, dude. Yeah. Oh yeah. And then he even did like a couple takes because he was like, "Oh man, I didn't like how that sound. Let me do it again." So he did it again. So okay, I'm like, well, Kurt
Kurt's
Angle was cool
amazing,
about
dude.
it.
Kurt's amazing.
So
That's amazing.
I'm like, let's ask Mick Foley. And I asked Mick Foley, and he was like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. He's like, I don't know if you're like setting babies on fire or some shit like that. And I was like, well, Kurt Angle did it for me. And he was like, yeah, no, I got in trouble for that. I can't do that. But I just
Welcome to the
felt like,
Setting Babies on Fire podcast with your host Edgar, and here's a clip from Mick Foley. Hey
yeah, and
guys,
I'm
welcome
like,
to the Setting Gross.
I haven't set any babies on fire yet, Mick. Come on. And he's like, yeah, no, I can't. But
That's so funny, dude. I honestly love
yeah,
that interaction. Like, I wish that that's an interaction that I would welcome. Like, I want that. Like, I don't want the awkward old man at a grocery store at 7 a.m, but I do want the Mick Foley doesn't want to do an intro for my podcast interaction because that's hilarious. I'd tell the
yeah,
shit out of that story on a podcast, dude. Oh my
that's this.
God.
This is the first time I've told it because I was so embarrassed, dude. I was so embarrassed,
Bro,
like the whole time.
instant content. You know what to clip. Here it is right here. That's fucking
Yeah,
great, dude.
and I don't. Oh man, I also didn't want to say it because I'm like, I don't want to sound like I'm talking shit about Mick Foley
No,
because
man,
like,
that honestly makes him look good. Like I would have, I don't know, like you can kind of get where he's coming from. Like Kurt did it, and that's amazing. But I don't know. Like at the same point, like I don't know. I get that one, and it's not. I
yeah,
guess to me, I kind of feel like you got some of that personal Mick Foley sarcasm, which again is like, bro, you got something special. Very few
yeah,
people get what you just got. Like you got
yeah.
rarefied air Mick Foley. Like
I got
honestly, proud of yourself, dude. Like that's a point of pride.
Yeah, hell yeah, thanks. Now I feel a lot better now. But but yeah,
Yeah.
my wife was like, Yeah, she said the same thing. She's like, I get it. You know, he's a big name. He's probably still like under WWE contract, but he probably could have went like a little nicer way about it. Like, hey man, you know, I would, but you know, but he was like, I don't know if you're setting babies on fire. I was like, oh fuck.
Let me ask you this: did he tell you to have a nice day at the end of the conversation?
No, he didn't, dude.
If I
That
had a
I think,
built-in tagline, dude, I would use it so hard, dude. If I had a tagline
dude.
I could just finish sentences with, I'd be like, "Have a nice day," and I just like leave the room.
No, yeah, I think after that, after like I asked him, he turned me down, he signed my you know, my picture, whatever it was. I think after that it was just like really awkward and he was just like, all right, get this fool out of my line or some shit. And I was just like, okay, thanks. And then I just left.
Can you release the footage? We'd like to see the footage of it, the all-in Mick Foley Edgar footage.
Oh man, I wish we only got pictures. We
Let's
only
get
got
the
pictures
security
that day.
cameras.
Oh yeah, with no sound.
No sound at all. Honestly,
Yeah.
I will still put ether behind it though. That's what I did immediately as soon as I got it. I was like, I'm gonna put Nas's ether behind this.
For the CM Punk and Jack Perry video.
And then they got me immediately. They were like, "You're not allowed to use this video," which I've never gotten flagged on TikTok in the entirety of the time I've been on the app. And they
Wait, was
flagged
it
me
for
within seconds. No, it
was
was
it
for
for the
community
song?
standards. It was for community standards.
But was it for the
So
song or for the video?
no, it was for the violence in the video, which is crazy because I posted it through a filter an hour later and they let it slide.
Okay, that explains a lot then because I posted that video too and I only got like not even like 10 views on that shit. And I'm like, what the
Yeah,
fuck?
they're blocking it up. So
Okay.
I also heard that they've got some people that are like hitting the video pretty hard as far as like copywriting from Warner Brothers as well. So I got
All right.
and then I just twisted it around and played with it and got away with it. I wanted to put that
I got
boxing referee, you know, the real excited boxing referee whenever somebody gets punched, he's like, that's who I wanted to put in the video, but I'm not editing savvy
the
enough
only
yet.
the only overly excited referee that I know is Aubrey Edwards.
Well, she is overly excited. You got that right. You hit that joke right on the head. Look at you, man. You're a regular Steve
I'm
Martin.
trying. I got it. I got it from Jaded Wrestling.
I got you, boy.
So now that we're on this topic, let's get into some business now. That we're talking about this tape from that aired from All In. I don't know if you remember. Well, I'm sure you do because it was only a couple of weeks ago or a week ago. After CM Punk did the interview with Ariel Helwani, Adam Copeland went on Dynamite to do that promo or whatever. And I don't know if you got the chance to hear about this, but Adam Copeland explained the reason why he did that. Did you get a chance to hear what he had to say about that? Yeah, dude. So for those of you who are listening who didn't know, I have a quote here, and I'm not going to read this entire thing because it's a long quote. Adam Copeland was asked about, you know, why he went to go do that promo. He said, well, I didn't really watch the clip. Really, I didn't. I got better things to do. I got kids. I don't really care what anyone really had to say. However, what I will say is from the small clips that I think from the small clips that this is weirdly worded, or just scrolling and stuff, I realized that our locker room needed a good message. So last week on our show, I went out and kind of spoke to that because it's a young locker room. It's a young locker room that for me, because it's a different time, now we try to support each other. I came into locker rooms where it was everybody out for themselves and it was a bunch of great white sharks, and I never subscribed to that. I always subscribed to the Bret Hart school of no, you can help and you can help the young people and you can try to be positive. So after I read that, at first I was kind of making fun, poking fun, because you know the timing of it or whatever. But Adam Copeland pretty much stepped up in that situation, didn't he?
We watch wrestling really, really weird nowadays. Like, we used to not watch wrestling like we do. Like, honestly, I really love that Edge promo. For what it's worth, like, I saw it and immediately was like, dude, I really, really like this. Like, I didn't get up and think, wow, what a mark, he's doing this for his boss or something. Like, I watch wrestling as a TV show. So, like, when it's
Mhm.
something that I enjoy, I'm not going to sit here and poo poo it. And I think that most people, ironically enough, my name is Jaded Wrestling, and I am like the least jaded person when it comes to watching a TV show because I'm there for the promos, I'm there for the funny one liners, I'm there for the insults, I'm also there for the wrestling. But first and foremost, I'm there for the promos. So that's one of the reasons why I really love somebody like Samoa Joe, or like when Adam Copeland comes out and gives a rah speech with quotes around it. I like a
Mhm.
rah speech. Since when did we not like rah speeches? In every sports movie of all time, there's been a rah speech that got us hyped up, whether it's Mick in the back room or Rocky, or it's you know what I mean, or it's Danny Glover and
Mhm.
Angels in the Outfield. There's always been these rah speeches in movies and entertainment, and it's always been great. I love a rah speech. So I don't have any
Yeah,
problem with Edge
definitely.
coming out and doing that. You know what I mean? Like,
I do know what you mean. It was a super babyface promo, and it's Adam Copeland, it's Edge. Who doesn't love Edge or appreciate what he has done for the business? But I think obviously, as you know, like just the timing of it, it was right after CM Punk started talking all that shit, and it was just like from where I was kind of standing, it was like, man, either Tony Khan made him do this, or like Tony Khan made him do it. Those were my
well,
only two thoughts. Like,
I also I don't really mind that either, though. Like, I know that that's weird, but bookers have told wrestlers what to do since the beginning of time. Like, I'd love you to go out and do this for me. I'd love you to paint this image on the crowd to make sure this is how they feel. And while we're being clear and frank, I don't have a problem with what CM Punk said on Hawani either. I like CM Punk. I think that he's brilliant. He's a master marketer. I love his whole I don't care about anybody attitude. It's always been the thing. Like, we can't hate Chicago made, you know what I mean? But like at the same time, it's
mhm,
just like wrestling. Like, I'm not
mhm,
a booker and I'm not worried about numbers and I'm not worried about who's winning in the war. I'm worried about watching wrestlers that I enjoy and watching matches that I enjoy. And I think for what CM Punk's given me a lot through the AEW run and through I like the stuff in WWE so far, Stu. That stuff with Drew and him and Seth before WrestleMania was insane. Like, if we get
mhm.
that, please let him do whatever he wants. Like, I don't care, to be honest. And
Yeah,
I know the hot topic is like who was wrong, but like more than one person can be wrong.
yeah. And when I first heard that too, that Adam Copeland rah rah speech, it was like, man, I didn't buy it at first. Like, yes, he can cut a good promo, like, but that's his job, right? But I'm like, is this fool for real right now, or he's just saying this because Tony Khan made him, and he's a super loyal guy, and he's a professional, and he's just getting paid millions of dollars to defend his company AEW. But then after I read this and he kind of explained it, I'm like, holy shit, he was actually doing it as like the veteran, as the leader of the company, and like, because I'm pretty sure a lot of the younger guys in the locker room, their feelings do get hurt a lot easier, right? So after that, I was like, okay, maybe I shouldn't have said all those fucked up things that I said about that, um, but yeah,
Well,
man, what are your final
dig
thoughts
this.
on that?
Dig this. So, all right. I don't know. So I guess what I want to ask more than anything is how have you felt about Edge and AEW then? Because like my mind is like thinking about all the fun he's having and wrestling all these people that he wants to wrestle and doing things that are creatively fun for him. And both of you and I do videos and do podcasting, and it's kind of like we create and have these things that are from our minds. Like, and he comes from a company that isn't really a place that gives him the ability to create freely. Not that it's bad, but to create freely. So I guess what I'm asking is, how do you feel about Edge in AEW? Like, have you been underwhelmed, or because I've really enjoyed it?
That's a good fucking question, dude. I have been. I have been because oh man, where to even start? That's I'm not used to seeing Adam Copeland in that spot like that. I think because I'm a big WWE guy, I'm used to seeing Adam Copeland in like tag team matches, and um, he did have like a big singles run, or like in the like early 2010s and stuff.
Mm.
But it just seems like Adam Copeland, he's just kind of just riding the wave, not riding the wave, but he's like just kind of going through the motion in AEW. Like he doesn't really have to do much to impress the people. He doesn't really have to try anything different or creative or unique to get himself over because he's automatically going to be over in AEW. So it's like I'm just going to show up and I'm just going to have these matches with just random cold matches with random people, and I'm gonna hit my spear and I'm gonna pin them, and that's it.
I
So
think it's built on the way that AEW runs, though, too. Like, they do obviously have feuds that they're going to put him in. Like, I'm sure in the next 2 or 3 weeks, we're going to find out who, after the pay per view, is the person that he's going to have a singles run with. And let's cross our fingers for Malachi Black. But anyway, that's besides the point. Like, we've seen him go with like Christian, but like these little side random guy cold matches are all wrestlers that I am interested in seeing him wrestle with. Like, I might be the only person, but I love Penta. And like I'm
mhm.
good with him wrestling Penta because I love Penta. I don't have any issue with that. Same with like Danny Garcia. I love Danny Garcia, or whoever the guy is. Like every week he seems to wrestle someone that I'm like, or Matt Cardona while we're at it. There's bunches of stuff that he's
Yeah.
done that I've been like happy about, and I enjoy seeing him every week. Like I'm sure that if he does this for a year, I'd be annoyed and I'd be tired of it. But if
Mm.
it's a month and then he's in another feud with somebody, I'm cool with him taking a month to just free wrestle after he's been in another place for a long time doing a different style. He's got to figure
Yeah.
out the way that they wrestle too. Like I read the
Yeah.
Chris Jericho book right after the first one he put out, and he talks a lot about the transition from WCW to WWE and how you think it's wrestling. Like it's like, okay, I wrestled over here. I'm good enough to wrestle over there. But they're two different styles of TV and different styles of wrestling. So there's always
Mhm.
a period where they have to figure out how to wrestle AEW's style. And I
Yeah.
think that's what
Yeah.
Maria is going through right now too. You know what I mean? Like she's coming
And
into a company still injured and has to figure out a different way to work.
I think we're seeing that styles clash a lot too on TV because, like you said, Adam Copeland has to get used to their style of wrestling, but also at the same time, they have to get used to his style of wrestling too at the same time. So it's like, fuck, that match with Penta, it was mostly Penta beating up Adam
Yeah.
Copeland. And then at the end, Adam Copeland just hit a spear and then boom, 1, 2, 3. And it's like, that's the only type of match that they could probably have because not only there's a language barrier there, but also there's a styles barrier there too. So it's like,
But
what?
Penta has been working with everybody in the company, though. Like he has the way to work. Like if he wants to do the spot show, he can do it. I just don't think Edge knows how to edge Adam Copeland. I don't think Adam Copeland knows how to do the spot show yet. Like that's the thing. Like they don't do that over there. So Penta is a tag team wrestler that is he's a highlight reel. You know what I mean? For lack of better words, he's super over but he's a highlight reel,
Mm,
and that's something that he's got to figure out, that language of wrestling. But honestly, if you want to hear my personal opinion, put a microphone in his hand and give him someone to go against, and it's fun. If you have him doing what Samoa Joe is doing and sitting in the middle of the ring cutting promos on somebody like he did with Ricky Starks when he first got here, let's
yeah,
go, dude.
dude.
Like isn't that everything you want?
That's what I want. That's what I want to see for sure, dude. And we've only seen that happen like a couple times with Christian,
Yeah.
and even with Christian too. It was like on and off.
Those
It
matches
was
were
like
amazing, though. Those pay-per-view matches. I don't care what anybody says. Those pay-per-view matches were insane, dude.
Yeah,
Worth
they
it.
were
Worth it.
good. They were good, dude. But it was like there was like this cooling off period during their feud, and it was like, okay, we're back to it again. So it's like, okay, you know, it was one of those things.
Yeah.
Well, at least for me.
I get what you're saying. I think I honestly think maybe we could have gotten them off one match earlier. But like the way I ration that with myself is that third match was my favorite of the trilogy that they had. So
The
like
big old
was,
the
yeah,
no DQ. What was it? Was it last man
yeah,
standing?
the I quit match.
The I quit. I quit.
It
Yeah,
was an I
yeah.
quit match. So the spike bat to the nuts is like cartoonish. It's cartoonish and it's perfect for wrestling. Like I just want to say, like that's the best thing in the world. Like that's some itchy and scratchy Simpson stuff. Count me in.
People that don't watch wrestling are probably like, wait, what? What the
Yeah,
fuck did he say?
you can just call the title of this podcast "A Spike Bat to the Nuts."
Oh, I love it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. The spike. It was a spike bat, right, to the nuts.
Yeah.
Okay. Or wait, what did he call it? Adam Copeland. What
Oh
was that
God.
name?
Why don't I know now? I
Something
should know. I don't
crazy.
remember. It was. I can't remember. I think it was Spike, wasn't it? I'm gonna Google it. I'll find
I
it.
think it was. It was something like that. While he Googles it, I'm gonna definitely name this episode the Spike Bat to the Nuts, aka whatever the fuck Adam Copeland named that shit. But yeah,
I didn't find it. I didn't find it.
I'll find it.
I shouldn't have Googled nuts though. I should have known better than to Google nuts.
Oh man, you better delete
I'm in my
that.
Bagwell.
Let's stay on this topic of AEW since we're here. So obviously, I can tell that you're a big AEW fan. I am too, but as of late, I've been a little underwhelmed, a little disappointed with them.
We're so
And,
different. We're so different, you and I.
yeah, and that's okay. And that's
It is. It's
okay.
cool. Everybody
There's
likes a
nothing
different
wrong
kind
with
of
that.
pizza.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, but
I've
not
been a big.
everyone
I've
likes
been
to
a.
admit it, though.
I'm a fan of what we've been doing the last month and a half. I'm a fan of Will Ospreay every single match he's had. I'm a fan of his promos. I hate faces. I love Will Ospreay. So I mean, he might be the first face that I've liked in a really, 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 really long time. Big Samoa Joe fan. Count me in. There are definitely things they do that annoy me. I think that they have a bad match almost every week, but WWE does too, where I can just like, okay, I'm going to take a break while this is on. And it's usually like, I don't know. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but it's usually like Private Party or somebody like that. Or I'm not super huge on tag teams. So a lot of times if it's not a tag team I really care about, I'll just go do something else. But for the most
All
part, like
right.
when it comes to my favorite wrestlers, they're all on AEW. So
No, there's nothing wrong with that, dude. And all right, I'm gonna admit something right here in front of the whole world, and I'm probably gonna get a lot of shit for it. But I never really got into like New Japan wrestling. I I was just a big WWE guy, and like I said, it's thanks to AEW that I started kind of not even watching it or paying attention, but kind of just like, okay, like I see that there's stuff going on over there. So when I see people coming from Japan, I'm just like, okay, what the fuck is a big deal? Like, okay, Okada, okay, that don't mean shit to me. I'm sorry. Shibata, that don't mean shit to me. All these other people that come over from New Japan to AEW is just like, okay, whatever. But hold on. But when I see Osprey, well, the first time I saw him was in AEW, and I was like, what? Who the fuck is this guy? Like, this guy is fucking amazing. Like, there was just something about Osprey that was like, dude, this motherfucker is money, dude. And that dude, I've been just like glued to that fool. Every time he's on TV, I'm just like, dude, I gotta watch this fool. Like even his promos, dude, even like, his matches. I don't know, dude. Osprey has it, dude. Compared to like everyone else that shows up from New Japan, that motherfucker, he's something else, dude.
Before I dive into your New Japan take that you just gave, which I definitely want to dive into because I vehemently disagree. Um, I who's your favorite AEW wrestler? Like, I just need to know that before we go any further.
Oh man, that is a good fucking question. I mean, the automatically the first one that comes to mind is MJF, but there's
Okay,
others that I like a whole lot. Ricky
all right,
Starks,
that's cool.
obviously.
Yeah, I love
Um,
MJF. I'm a big fan of Ricky Starks too, so I get that. So I guess my question is like I'm the same as you. Like I don't watch New Japan. I've never been a New Japan guy. I'm trying now to do what I did with the rest of that and soak up as much New Japan as I can because they're
mhm,
the opposite when it comes to them getting me into New Japan. So everybody that they've brought over have been people that I have like been exposed to, and I don't like all of them. Like sometimes, like Okada's style so far has not been my favorite thing in the world, but I do love him as a heel, and I think he's interesting on TV. And Shibata, dude, give me a guy that kicks people's heads off, and I'm a happy guy. And it's been the same for like NXT does this a lot where they'll bring in somebody and you're like, I don't know who the hell this person is because I don't watch wrestling that's not like mainstream wrestling. So I've learned so much in the past 4 years about wrestlers that I wouldn't know, like Saray from NXT. Like seeing her like brought something out of me. Like I was like, this chick is good. And it's the same thing with like Shibata. Like as soon as I saw him work, I was like, I love this guy. Like this guy
mhm.
has it. Whatever it is, this guy has it. And I think them having those forbidden doors has exposed me to people like Zack Sabre Jr., which that match with Will Ospreay was good lord. Like good lord. Like some of the best stuff I've ever seen. So I think that my life and wrestling life has gotten better due to learning about these guys from Forbidden Door. And like I said, I don't like them all. I'm not a fan of everybody, and it might be because I haven't watched all their stuff or they're at the back end of their career. What do I know? I don't know anything about these wrestlers. But people like Ishii, I'm enjoying what I'm seeing of them when they show up, or Suzuki, Minoru Suzuki. Like we wouldn't have known who he was 2 years ago. I mean, he's hugely famous in MMA and all this other stuff too, but I wouldn't have known who he was had it not been for AEW. And now I've been hipped on
Yeah,
watching him in cages and UFC, early UFC. And like, I don't know if you've ever seen that, but it's wild. And like,
I don't know. I've only seen him wrestle 9-year-old girls.
oh, bro, I'm going to send you some clips later of him versus Ken Shamrock. They were
Oh,
like,
what?
it's
Ken
UFC.
Shamrock?
Yeah, they're UFC mat
I'll see
wrestling,
that.
and it's insane, dude. He looks like an anime villain. Like he has that slick back hair. It's so badass, dude. I get chills even thinking about it, dude. Like
Dude, hold
I'll
that
send you the
thought.
clip. It's so
Hold that
tight.
thought. I'm gonna edit this out, but hold that thought because I gotta take a piss real quick.
You're good. You're good.
All
Go
right,
ahead.
thank you. All right, we're fast forwarding in time now. I'm back. What you got there?
Penny pin pin.
It's legal over there in the east. I thought it was a West Coast thing.
What Mama don't know won't hurt her, right?
Ah, there you go. No, but yeah, dude. The reason I wanted to talk to you about this is because like, how do you get like pissed off when people are like, "Oh, the fucking ratings in AEW suck and they're not doing good."
No, I don't. And here's why. Because every time somebody has a conversation with me about wrestling, the sport grows. So I don't mind having those conversations with people. Like I don't whatsoever. Like I'd love to talk to you about the reasons you don't like AEW, the reasons you like WWE, whatever sport you like in GCW, whatever company you like. Like if you're into deathmatch wrestling, I want to talk to you about that. Like because again, I'm trying to learn, but also like I'm a student of this game and I love this sport and like I want to watch as much as I can and I like making wrestling content. So anything I can get out of it, I want to get. And that's a lot of the reason why even with these like indie shows, like that MLW show, I was on vacation with my family and just so happened to notice that like there's an indie show going on with like Matt Riddle and Alex Kane, who's from TikTok. I don't know if you know him. He was wrestling on the show. And it's like all these guys that I kind of know. And then at the end of the night, Raven was on the show. And it's like, dude, this is amazing. Like
And you just like happened to run into this like just randomly?
I just was on
shit.
vacation back in Florida where we had just moved back from. And we were like not doing anything on Friday night. And I saw it pop up on my Facebook. And I was like, that's fucking crazy. That's 30 minutes from here. It was like $15, dude.
That's
That's
fucking
insane,
tight, dude.
That's
Oh, I'm sorry.
insane.
We say tight out over here in California. That's tight, bro. That's tight.
I like it, bro. Use your slang, bro. Use your slang.
So, I got this article here, and I want to get your thoughts about this because this is from the Yard Barker. I don't know, some website. What AEW can do to draw more fans? Number 3, shrink the roster. Number 2, focus on 1 or 2 primary storylines. And number 1, stop caring about WWE. How do you feel about that?
Okay, so it's very loaded because it's a 3-part question. It's hard to attack all fronts, but all of them need to be addressed. So every time that we have I say we like I'm in AEW. Every time that AEW has said something about WWE lately, it's been in direct response to a comment made by WWE, whether it be on their pre-show or in little interviews or when Pat McAfee has a WWE star or whatever they're doing. Like it's always these little comments. And okay, I'm not happy about the footage either. Like I'll be the first to say that I would have rather them set up FTR Young Bucks for the same way without the footage because it makes it a show. It makes it fun. It doesn't make it serious. Everybody doesn't have to talk about it. And I understand why they did it because they went up in numbers, 11,000 viewers or something like that. I didn't look.
Yeah, very small numbers.
So,
yeah, it wasn't that much. Yeah.
I enjoy the stuff they're putting out and I enjoy the wrestling that they give me every week. And as long as they continue to do that, I don't see myself going anywhere. I also don't worry about them because they're not, I don't know how to put this. They're not
them
being going anywhere.
Them being the WWE or who?
They're not them being AEW. They're not. They're a competitor brand. They're not a brand that's trying to go up against WWE. He said in interviews that he said the analogy he uses like you could be McDonald's if you want, but there's already a McDonald's. Mm-hmm. You could be McDonald's or you can be Burger King. And what I'm doing is you can be Coke if you want, but there's already a Coke there. So you're going to try to do a knockoff Coke. Or you can go do Pepsi, which is slightly different, and people enjoy Pepsi too. They're not going to lose to Impact. I'm telling you that much. So you're not worried about AEW becoming number 3 right now, are you? Because I'm certainly not. Impact can't draw an audience.
I mean, I don't know how good.
You couldn't even find it. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm saying. Like you don't even know where to find it at.
Good, yeah,
so
good
like
point.
they're number 3. They're number 3 right now. They've got Dolph Ziggler. They've got all kinds of people over there that are rocking house. They've got great wrestlers on Impact, but they're not
right.
AEW is not in any danger of going to number 3. So they're a competitor brand. They're a number 2. There's nothing wrong with Pepsi. There's nothing wrong with being a number 2. Also, shout out to Ted's Takes on Wrestling. This is kind of me and his little thing we always talk about is the competitor brand. But it's like, it's one of those things that it really annoys me because everybody has to be first. Everybody lives by this Ricky Bobby. If you're not first, you're last. But he also says in the movie, hell, you could be second, third, hell, you could even be fourth. You could be anything you want to do and still make money and still stay on TV. And I
Yeah.
think that they're going in the right direction. And when people say that they're not nervous about stuff, and when people say, oh, they're not competition, and then they start saying small things in pre-shows and all this stuff, that should be a compliment to AEW. And I don't think Tony should take everything so seriously. You don't have to chirp back at every single person. I don't mind the Twitter stuff where he says a jokey joke here or now on Twitter as fun. Like, I don't mind that. But like putting it in the show is some carny bullshit, for lack of better words. Like, I used to like it when it was signs on the wall that say no knee slapping, and that's a joke on WWE. You know what I mean? Like, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
But this shit is just like, it doesn't help morale. It doesn't help boost the locker room. And when you have someone like Edge have to come out and give a rah-rah speech, that tells me that your locker room isn't exactly where you want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like I said before, I like a lot of what they're doing. So on the flip side of that, we're looking at the end of WCW, which I don't know how deep or how far you go back here, but you started to see very long stretches of show that were not good. And I'm not seeing that with AEW. Like, this last show this week was the worst show they've ever done, in my opinion. But I still got 2 or 3 matches that I enjoyed out of it and a couple promos that I enjoyed in Tony Storm. So, you know what I mean? Like, there are things that I still enjoy every single week. And that's why I'm not sounding the alarms. And that's why I'm not running around like I'm on fire, is because I don't think that Tony has anything to worry about financially right now. But I'm also not an accountant, and I'm not Eric Bischoff. So what do I know?
And it looks like they're kind of leaning more towards that, as like they recently released a few people. You're the boys, the you know, they were released, unfortunately, and it looks like now they're actually starting to make these moves here and there, and I think that's going to make a big difference in the long run also. But also going back to the comments that Triple H made, you know, did you get the chance to listen to that interview? Okay, so there was like a lot of talk, like, oh, he was talking about Ospreay. No, he wasn't talking about anyone. No, he could have been talking about anyone, but obviously, you know, it's pretty obvious, I think, that he was talking about Will Ospreay, right? And we don't know what's going in these contract negotiation deals. Why did Mercedes Moné sign with AEW over WWE, or Will Ospreay or Okada or X, Y, and Z, you know? But I found this really interesting article here. You probably already saw this, that gave me a lot of like behind the curtain insight as to why wrestlers prefer to sign with AEW. And this was from Brian Cage, one of the cages, too many cages, pal, that he got interviewed, and he was kind of in between AEW and WWE at some point in his career. And the reason that he chose to go with AEW once again was for this reason. I'm going to read the quote that he said here, where Brian Cage said,
by the way, before you read it, like, there's a bunch of great little things he says in this that are like some of the stuff that I've been saying on this podcast.
Oh, dude, you're on it then. Fuck. Okay. Usually, like, most of my guests are like, "Oh, I haven't heard about that," but you already know everything I'm about to talk about. What the fuck? I was trying to swerve you, bro.
Yeah, it's Swerve's house, but it ain't at Swerve's house right now. I got this.
Yeah. So Brian Cage said, "So I thought about it, and I got a lengthy term with AEW as well. So I'm like, all right, you know what? We just had another kid too. Wait, is this the right one? My son's about 4.5 months old. Oh yeah. That's cool, bro. We're trying to talk about something else. I was thinking where's the good stuff? Hold on. Sorry, I wasn't prepared.
You're good. You're good. You'll figure it. You can edit this later.
Maybe. Yeah, I'll edit this. Yeah, it's the best way. Where was the one where he said, fuck. Once they don't.
I wanted the stuff that
Okay.
I thought was interesting was the creativity stuff, where he was talking about how he can be creatively free or whatever.
Oh, what the fuck, dude? I feel like a dumbass now. Okay, so scratch that. Blah, blah, blah. But the big reason to stay with AEW was the fact that there was a lot more certainty, so to speak. It's not necessarily a guaranteed contract, but for lack of better terms, the contract was essentially guaranteed in AEW compared to WWE's. I could be signed there today in AEW. I mean, I could be signed there today in WWE, gone tomorrow, if you know what I mean. So basically, AEW has a guaranteed contract for a certain amount of time, and WWE could just be like, "Hey,
Can
you're
I
out."
can I give you the cut through the bullshit of what he actually said in that though? Like all of the things
Please
that you
do,
just said
please
were
do.
like they're quarterback speak. So you know when a quarterback goes to a podium after like a game and he threw a pick to lose the game. Hey, what happened? Why did that happen? He's like, well, it wasn't the team's fault. It was my fault. Blah, 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 blah. It's quarterback speak. So what he's saying is, okay, it's a guaranteed contract so that if I don't get over again, because they've tried to get me over 3 different times on this show and it hasn't worked, then I'm still going to have a job.
Yeah,
So, I mean, I just want to just
basically.
quickly, that's exactly what he said. But that's what AEW does. Like, he cares
Yeah.
about Brian Cage. So it's not like,
And in the WWE, if you don't get
well, I mean,
over,
look at like
then
Taya Valkyrie is a perfect example. She went to NXT, she moved across the country to live by NXT, and they fired her in 2 months. Two
right,
months
but
from being
but
in
you
the
know,
court.
but you know what? Too, I always wonder, man, and jump in on this and tell me your thoughts about this. Like, there's also in the WWE, there's also a sense like if they want you to get over, then they will get you over. There's like a lot of like the mid card guys have like a ceiling that they can reach. Like, hey, you know, you can't do certain moves in the ring because you're not on that level. Like, you're not, your character's not supposed to do that. Your character's not supposed to say these things. So I'm like, then how the fuck are people supposed to get over if they're not allowed to do certain things? You get what I'm saying? Like,
I do. I do. I think that this has been a thing that's been going on since the beginning of time, though, like tweaking things to how you want a show to go as a booker and all this stuff. Like, I would say that that's been a thing. Like, and even if they don't like someone, they'll try to punish them by giving them a shit gimmick, like they did with Dusty Rhodes and the polka dots. Like, they're going to try to give him something that he can't get over. But here's the tricky part about it. And the great thing about wrestling is if you're great, you're going to get over no matter what. Like, you're going to find a way to get over. And
LA
I would
Knight.
say LA Knight's a perfect example, but LA Knight's also been over in a lot of places and people are just now seeing him. Like, he was over in NWA. He wrestled EC3. He was over in Impact. He's been over everywhere he's went, every single stop. And those are the types of people that like are really,
Stand
really,
out.
really good that you don't have to worry about necessarily. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
them on the NXT train, though, is like they're trying to build new stars. And it's just like, it's tough, man. It's really, really tough to find someone that's truly, truly great anymore.
Yeah. Oh man,
Sorry.
that's fucking crazy, dude.
I
I
had a
gotta
headphone issue there. Sorry, you'll have to edit that.
No, it's all good. No, man, we've had a lot of fucking technical difficulties on this episode,
Yeah.
man. What the fuck? Nah.
Hey, so I
Nah,
got
yeah,
one more.
dude.
Can I give one of mine for you? Can I
Please
shoot you
do.
one more topic? Okay.
Yeah.
So Cody wins. I don't know how to start this. Let me try this again. I wanted to ask you about this. So Cody is the champion now, and I was thinking about great babyface runs in wrestling, and there aren't
Yeah.
really a bunch that come to mind right
I
away.
already like
Like,
I already like where this is going, by the way. But yeah, go on.
so of the past like 2 or 3 years, I've been trying to comb through my head all day, and I'm sure that I'm gonna miss somebody that's stupid, and everybody's gonna let me have it in the comments. But like, I can't think of any great baby faces because Roman's been champion for 3 years on WWE, and like The last real babyface champion I can think of would be MJF, and I don't count him as a babyface. It was kind of like a in between. Every time somebody like
No.
Cody wins a championship, for me, it scares me what's going to happen next, because the chase is what was interesting. Like the drive to survive, to get to that belt,
Oh
is what's
man.
interesting. So what my question to you is, where do we go from here? What's next for Cody Rhodes? How can they keep him interesting? Because to me, and I'm not a big Cody Rhodes fan, so let me put that out first. I'm happy for him. I'm glad that he won the belt, but at the same time, I don't know where we go, because there's nobody compelling enough for me to keep him interesting.
That is the question. That's the $1,000,000 question that I actually did a whole entire show about this after WrestleMania, because I was thinking the same thing. Like, what now? What do we have to look forward to now? And I saw that this is probably still going on right now on SmackDown. They're doing a little tournament thing. I don't know if you got the chance to see that. They're doing two triple threat matches, 6 guys. The winners out of those 2 triple threat matches are going to face each other. And it's a bunch of SmackDown names. So Cody Rhodes is going to SmackDown, it looks like. And out of all of the names that are, between these 6 names, the one that stood out to me was AJ Styles. And I think I was like, okay, if AJ Styles wins this one, then I I can I can sink my teeth into that. AJ Styles versus Cody Rhodes at Backlash, especially because AJ Styles, he's been healing super hard right now.
Oh, bro.
Did I say? What did I say? What did I
Bro,
say?
listen,
What did I
AJ
say?
Styles, AJ Styles is a veteran wrestler, right? And like
Yeah.
I was listening to an NBA podcast the other day, and they were talking about how when great players start to get old, they don't
Mhm.
fall off a cliff like NFL players do. It's not like Drew Brees, where he's in the Super Bowl one year, the NFC Championship, and then the next year his arm doesn't work.
Okay.
Basketball players lose like 10 points. They'll be like a consecutive 30-point a night guy, and then it becomes like a 15-point night guy with an occasional 30.
Mhm.
AJ Styles right now is at that occasional 30. Like, he's getting to an age where I don't want Cody's first piece of meat as a babyface champion that he gets his teeth into to be a very old AJ Styles. And I love AJ Styles. Let me say first, one of the greatest wrestlers to ever touch TNA Impact. Like, one
Yeah.
of the greatest wrestlers, in my opinion. He's incredible. Like, I can't
Mhm.
say enough great things about AJ Styles. But also, I don't want someone of his age wrestling Cody Rhodes, because I don't have any believability that AJ Styles can win. So the problem is anybody that you bring up right now is either busy or they're old, unless their name's LA Knight or Gunther. And like, those are the 2 names, the only people that I think can touch Cody at this point and make it interesting, because The Rock's gone for 3 months. So for 3 months,
Yeah.
guess who's got to drive this boat? It ain't
Cody.
Roman, and it ain't The Rock. So
It's
who's going to
Cody.
drive the boat? It's Cody. And can Cody
Cody.
do that? Can Cody be the captain of the ship? Do you trust Cody with the flag in his hands waving it, or is the ship going to sink? Because to me, this has big Hangman Adam Page energy when he was the champion. Like, I didn't mind him in the chase because I was interested to see if he could pull it off. But once he pulled it off, there was nothing more boring than Hangman as a champion. And I'm afraid that Cody Rhodes is going to do the same thing. He just
Oh,
bores the
fucking
ever-loving
hell.
shit out of me. And I don't know if I can cuss on your podcast. I've cussed so much. So I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
you can. Hey, look. Pussy hole.
All right. But yeah, like I said, not a fan of Cody Rhodes, not a fan of Hangman Adam Page. And honestly, a babyface as a champion never works, because how do you book it? You don't. You don't book it. That's just how it is. In today's day and age, with no
Oh
kayfabe, you cannot
man.
book a babyface champion into success unless he's a heel. He has to be a heel to be a successful champion. There it is. That's all there is to
Boom.
I don't know.
Boom. Mike dropping that shit. Nah, man. I have a lot of faith in Cody, man. Okay, I'm gonna sound like a big old fucking Cody crybaby. I'm gonna sound like a
No,
big
man,
old
you
fucking
like who
mark.
you like, bro. You like who you like.
But
That's the whole
dude,
point of this. You can like whoever you like. I'm a huge Buff Bagwell guy. Look at my name.
dude, Cody Rhodes to me, he's modern day Hulk Hogan in like the
That's
golden age, the golden era.
that's
To
John Cena.
me,
We've already had that.
bigger than
That
John
already
Cena.
exists. No, he's not
Bigger than
bigger than
John
John Cena.
Cena.
You're out of your mind. You're
To
out of your
me,
mind. He will
John
never
Cena.
touch John Cena's feet. He can never lace John Cena's boot.
To me, Cody Rhodes surpassed John Cena in that category
You're
already.
a wild man. You're a wild man, dude.
I'm
I'm telling
that's
you that this
that's
is
how
like
much
this is like a cold pan that you left off the stove and forgot to turn it on over the night and it snowed. Like this is a
thi-
crazy wild take. You're doing John Cena a great disrespect. His hairline's already doing that to him, but you're doing him worse.
dude, that's how much of a Cody Rhodes fan I am, dude. Like
That's
to tell
crazy.
you that I got hella emo, dude, when he pinned Roman at WrestleMania. I'm not even gonna tell you all the details, bro. But
Oh,
I
bro,
was like,
listen. Okay, answer me this. Did you cry? Did you cry? Straight up. Did you cry? Be honest.
I'm not gonna answer. I plead the fifth. I
No,
plead the fifth.
be truthful. Come on. This is a safe space. Tell me if you cried. I'm not going to judge you. I promise. Did you
May,
cry? You
I,
cried. It's
a little
okay.
bit, a little bit, a little
Hey,
bit. I
it's
did.
still real to me, damn it. It's still real to me.
I
That's
was, I was,
okay, bro.
I was like just like Samantha Irving when she was like announcing it.
Yeah, I get it, bro. So listen, I think all people enjoyed that match because everybody got something out of it. Like I got like when the Undertaker bell tolled, I legitimately out loud, I was by myself in my room watching it on a small TV because none of my family likes wrestling. But I was watching it by myself and like the bell tolled and I go, holy fucking shit. Just
Mhm.
audibly out loud in the room. Like
You're like,
that's
yeah.
what that gave me is I said, holy fucking shit, just audibly out loud. So I love the match. And like I think that you have to put a bow on this story the way that you did. It's a beautiful way to do it. I got some
Uh,
news that I saw today that I don't know is true, but I want to try to break it to you and see if you'd already heard it. So I
okay.
heard that Undertaker was supposed to be Stone Cold, but they couldn't come to a financial agreement. So
Yes,
is the match,
sir.
is the match better with Stone Cold?
No,
If you were the
because
if, look,
how would you do it with Stone Cold? Like, are you gonna do a run in from this fucking
it's a
60-year
built-in
old?
no, it's a built-in gimmick. The glass breaks and he pulls a John Moxley and comes down through the crowd. And then the whole time he's doing that, The Rock is doing the same thing he did on the Monday after WrestleMania, where he is interacting with the crowd by giving them this, oh my gosh, it's Stone Cold. And then they have the stare down once he gets, but you need him to be in a spot that's reasonably close in the crowd where he can come out of a tunnel and hit the ring in 3 minutes. It
I
can't
think
be a Roman Reigns 20-minute entrance, but if you hit the glass, you can have his music out there. And he's old, but he's so good, just like The Rock is at like making a crowd love him and being able to feel a crowd's energy and know exactly how to react to things. So I
yeah.
like the Undertaker segment. I think it was the best way to wrap it up because obviously visually that works perfectly with the lights going off and him appearing behind The Rock. But I'm telling you, like the history between The Rock and Stone Cold, that place would have exploded. Like it did explode, but the
that
roof
was a
would have
thing,
come off
yeah.
that fucking place, dude. Like it's Stone Cold is
That was
another level of
that
star.
was a that was a thing. That was the other thing that would have made that moment better was if it was Stone Cold, purely because of the history that The Rock and Austin have. But either way, from where I was standing, I was watching it with a lot of my cousins and my kids. They're not hardcore wrestling fans like I am, but they still watch it because The Rock was there
Mhm.
and to support me also. But then John Cena came out. They know who John Cena is. And then The Rock was there. So they were like all into it, especially my girl cousins. They were all into it. And then the bell rang, dome, and they were all like, everyone knows who the Undertaker is, and
Yeah,
even they were like, "Oh my god, this is so cool!"
it was
So
dope.
even for non wrestling fans, everything about that was just perfect. So I wouldn't change it for anything. It was a perfect ending to me, I think.
Is it too soon to say that I like the Stone Cold Kevin Owens one better? I
Nah,
got that
dude.
I got that gif of Pat McAfee with the beer in his mouth, like after he'd been stunned, is like still one of my favorite gifs of all time. Of him just
Yeah.
standing there with the beer pouring out of his mouth out the side. Great, great stuff. Like I got so much good stuff out of that, like just little memes and things that I like to use. Like I kind of am partial to like Pat McAfee taking a stunner and then Vince taking a stunner. I don't know if we can say his name on this podcast. Vince. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, the guy who shall not be named. No, yeah, who gives a shit, dude? We're not getting paid by those fools. You can say whatever the fuck we want.
Voldemort.
No, yeah, but no, the blackout, the bell,
Yeah, it was
just
great.
added more to the dramatics of it. I loved it, dude. It was
I
fucking
did
dope,
too.
man.
I did too. And I like there's a lot of moments that I'm gonna look back and really enjoy. Like my girl Bailey, shout out to Bailey. We didn't talk about Bailey on this podcast yet. Bailey
Nah,
forever.
but we
Bailey
can talk about
champion.
her. We can talk about her because she's from San Jose, California, which is
Yeah.
2 hours away from my hometown,
Hell
Sacramento.
yeah.
Uh,
Go.
The Yeah, and we're huge Bailey supporters here as well. I was happy to see her win. She deserved it. To
I
me,
started I started
I
putting together this unknowledgeable like video the day before where I was like, she's won 7 championships in NXT and WWE. I was like, let me look up how many people have done that. And I was like, let me see what's up with Becky. And it's like, she's won like 11. And I'm like, fuck, damn, fuck this video. Fuck Becky. I'm trying to big up my girl
yeah.
Bailey here and they're out here messing around, dude. Yeah,
Honestly,
I
I
was
feel the same way, dude. When it comes to Becky, I'm just like, I don't,
great
I
heel,
just can't
man.
do it,
I love a
man.
great heel. I love a great heel. I love a great heel all the time.
Yeah, dude. But Bailey's definitely, I think, probably the second best out of that group, the four horsewomen to come
Who's
out.
the
I think
first? Who's the first? Okay, all
Charlotte.
right. I can't argue with you because I'm a Bailey fan. I could argue all day on this, but I'm not gonna because I don't think that Charlotte Flair deserves for me to argue against her. I
Charlotte,
enjoy
Bailey,
Charlotte Flair. So,
Becky, and then Mercedes. You're
okay.
like, no,
All right.
no.
This is coming from a place of biasness, and I know it is. Like I have a bunch of wrestlers that I don't like in both companies that I'm just like, it's like I said earlier, it's like sports and sports teams. Like there's always going to be sports teams that you hate, and there's a bunch of wrestlers that I just don't dig their vibe, and like Becky's one of them. So like there's
Me
just
too.
wrestlers that I'm not super into, and like there's
Me neither,
on the
dude.
AEW roster because there's a bunch more, and I watch the show a lot more. But there's a bunch of people on both shows that I just am like, ugh, get off the screen, Wardlow.
Dude, that's me whenever Becky comes on, dude. I'm just like, I can't do it. And
Me.
people love her. People
Like
love
so,
her, but I'm like, fuck.
I guess like I missed whatever like the best parts of it, but like she puts on good matches, but it's not. I don't trust her to have a great match. Like, and I did this in a video. If you want to go to my YouTube, Jaded Wrestling TV, I just think like she's not batting a high enough average when it comes to people that aren't as good as her. So the mark of a good wrestler is they're going to go out there with an average wrestler and give a banger. Like anybody Will Ospreay wrestles is coming out with a 5-star match anytime in the near future. So like the video was about Bianca Belair because I see that in her as well. Like so whenever Bianca Belair wrestles somebody, whether it's Piper Nevin or whoever she's wrestling,
It's a good match.
It's always a good match. And like when
It's a
she's
good
put
match.
on a big position in a pay-per-view, she delivers every single time.
Yeah,
So
for
if
sure.
you throw her a fastball, she's gonna crank that fastball. And sometimes I don't always trust that Becky Lynch is going to do what I want her to do. That match with Rhea was good, but the reason that match with Rhea was good because
Because of Rhea.
Yeah. So like it's like it's not
Yeah.
a disrespect thing. It's a thing that I don't super like her finisher, and I don't super like the way that her punches look, and I don't super like her promos. Like so there's a bunch of stuff that she does that I'm just not into. And that's like a lot like for instance, my AEW big ick is Darby Allin. And it's not because
No.
Darby Allin's a bad wrestler. He's crazy and he's awesome and he does cool things. I don't dig the vibe. I don't dig the sad boy vibe. Like I don't get it.
Hey,
Like
hey, babe. I'm doing the podcast thing. What's up? All right, love you. Bye. Sorry.
You're good. Yeah, I just don't
Yeah,
dig
no,
the sad
dude.
boy vibe. So like it's just, and I could do that all day with like wrestlers that I like and don't like and things that I like about them. But like when it comes to Becky, I just don't. I'm never gonna rank her above Sasha because I like Sasha better. And I think if I was put onto a lie detector test and I was being asked who is the better wrestler, I'd probably say Becky. But like truthfully, I like Sasha better. So fuck y'all.
That's how much I don't like Sasha, dude. That I don't like Becky, but if I had to choose between those two, I'm gonna have to go with Becky,
I'll
man.
tell
I'm
you what, though.
sorry.
So,
I'm
I'll tell you
sorry.
what, though. She does have a quality that very few people has. She knows how to turn a heel real good.
Mm-hmm.
She's great at turning heel. Like if there's one thing that Sasha does better than anybody, she turns the fuck out of a heel. So wait, it's gonna happen in AEW too. She's gonna make you trust her at some point, and it'll probably be after the stuff with Julia, and they're gonna keep her a face for a while, which is a mistake. But
Or I'm calling this right now. It's gonna be Willow that turns heel.
it's probably right, but that's the wrong move because Sasha is a built-in heel. It's
Well,
like
she
trying to
got.
make Charlotte. It's trying to make Charlotte Flair a face. There's no point.
Well, didn't she
Why?
get? Didn't Willow get misted on Wednesday by Julia?
Yeah.
So what happened?
I
What
I
happened
had
to the
forgotten
last?
about that. So yeah, it's okay.
What happened
But
to
she
the last
hasn't.
person that got misted? Sky Blue turned. She turned after
Yeah,
getting
she did.
misted.
Didn't
So
somebody else get misted and get away from it though?
yes. It. Oh fuck.
It's slipping my mind. It's slipping
Hikaru
my mind.
Shida, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Shida.
another wrestler I'm not fond of.
Oh man, dude. Taylor, man. Don't even
Give me
get
a
me
B
started,
O
man.
R
I
I
can,
G. She's boring.
dude. I feel like I can sit here and talk wrestling all day with you.
All
But
day.
I'm gonna spare my listeners, dude, because we can just go for hours, dude. But before we go, tell them where they can find you. I know you're on TikTok because that's how I found you. But you're not just on TikTok, you're on YouTube and you also got a podcast too, which by the way, you also promised me that you're gonna send me a match between Ken Shamrock and
I already
what
did.
was it?
Look in your
Ah,
messages, brother. I already did.
hell yeah, I'm gonna check that out because I've only seen old boy wrestle 9-year-old girl, so I want to see how
All
he
right.
does versus fucking
Wait, you
Ken
just hit
Shamrock.
me up after once you see how badass he truly is. But so I do got a TikTok, Jaded Wrestling. I got a YouTube page, Jaded Wrestling TV. I'm going to be putting out some podcasts soon. I'm just taking a little break, trying to get some interest back into what I want to do. I think the next episode I'm going to do is about how the WNBA becomes successful is being more like wrestling. They need to create heels and they need to create faces. So I think the next episode I'm gonna do is gonna be about some WNBA players that have given some promos recently that I think are interesting and relate to wrestling. So that's what I'm going for next. But send me a message, send me an email, benstiller69 at hotmail.com. Yep, Jaded Wrestling, you know.
That's dope. And my name is Edgar from Snug Wrestling. And thank you guys for listening. And we'll talk soon. Thank you.